Hey, what's going on? I'm Keith here at Sports Vibes TV, and today I'm live from Las Vegas, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host Stephen Fox. Foxy, how's everything with you?
I'm jealous. You're hanging out in Vegas in the beautiful hotel room and having a good time and seeing all the top players. But besides that, shout out to you. Shout out to the chats. Shout out to the SV Nation. Looking forward to talking about yesterday's first summer league game.
Yeah, it was definitely a good showing. I was able to get some decent seats. Saw some of the young guys out there, Deuce, Sims, Grimes, all had great games. Even though to start, I was a little bit upset with some of their play, but we'll get into that. We just want to talk about some of the news that dropped before in between our last stream. Taj Gibson, he's officially been waived by the Knicks, and it looks like he's going to be moving on to the Washington Wizards. So, Foxy, how did you feel about that move?
We knew with Jaylen to get under the cap for the Jaylen signing that was going to happen. He's a class act. I was hoping somehow that maybe we could hold on to him with the minimum trade exception or something. I see maybe as a coach now that Kenny Payne and stuff is not here, but we're losing a valued veteran. Especially when you have Mitch and you have iHeart coming here learning a new system, and you have Sims that we'll talk about in a couple of minutes. I thought he'd be invaluable, but he's a class act, Brooklyn boy. Best of luck to him, and I know he's going to do well. Hey, the thing that I love about him at his age, 3-point shooting, we talked about his footwork. He's really working hard at this age to stay in the league, and I have a great amount of respect for that.
Yeah, salute to him. I actually viewed him more so as somebody that could come back and be a coach as well. But I mean, the writing was on the wall when you looked at some of the moves the Knicks made this offseason. You mentioned it. We re-signed Mitchell Robinson 4 years, $60 million. We got Hartenstein coming to the team as well. And then you also look at what Jericho Simpson showed yesterday. This team really didn't have the minutes for a Taj Gibson. And if you read some of the reports, Taj still views himself as a player and somebody that can contribute out there. So for him to still want to continue in the league, I think the Wizards is going to be a nice little landing spot for him. I wish him all the best, but it was the best move for this squad. Like I wasn't sure what we were going to do with Taj because there still were some rumblings that we might try to bring Brunson in on a sign and trade as opposed to just using all cap. But I think now with the moves that Taj Gibson is being released and also that we are announcing our cap hold for Ryan A, it shows that Brunson is probably going to be signed here with cap as opposed to a sign and trade and us getting some exceptions.
Exactly. So with Thomas Bryant going to the Lakers, I think he'll have Gafford's there, but he may get some playing time, and I'm happy for him.
Yeah, and I mentioned Ryan A. He's going to be gone as well. He played a little bit with us last season. He's a defensive point guard. The team was searching through any nook and cranny trying to find a point guard. So we brought in Ryan A. I guess he's somebody that Tibbs like, but unfortunately he won't be with us next season. So best of luck with him as he tries to go and look for a new team.
Yeah, I'm just thankful I don't have to say Archie Diacomo again. A sounds so much nicer.
Facts. Just want to give a shout out to Miguel P. He says, salute, fellas. Thank you for tuning in.
Hey, Miguel.
Appreciate your support. All right, let's see what else we have going on. So let's jump right into the game.
Can I ask you a couple of questions?
Yeah, feel free. Shoot.
How's the 108 degrees feel out there?
Oh, it's a little brutal. I'm not going front. Like I fly on the plane with a coat, not a coat, but like a windbreaker, just to kind of keep warm on the plane. And as soon as you got off, you have to take that off quick, fast, and in a hurry. The heat is different out here, and this is a cooler time. A lot of people are saying they're saying hot is like 111, 112. Which is what we're going to see tomorrow. So I'm kind of bracing myself for that right now. It seems like everybody just stays inside until the sun goes down.
Yeah, because I was thinking about you last night, and I just said that I can't wait to talk to you. I wonder if what I love with you being there is that you see things that other people don't see. You see, whether you see, hey man, I see IQ and Obi hanging out there, but Julius is by himself, or any of those dynamics. Did you feel anything or see anything you'd like to share?
With that, I would speak more on Cam's body language. He looked like a hostage out there. I'm not even going to front. You saw Quick, he was getting up, cheering on teammates, but Cam, he's got that laid back demeanor. So, I can't sit here and say he wasn't engaged in the game. He wasn't, hype about his team going out there and winning, but he just doesn't show it. So that's something that I kind of noticed. Also, him and Quick, they were sitting next to each other. I thought last season they might have had butt heads a little bit in terms of trying to find their spots or find their roles on the team. I felt like, there might have been a little bit of animosity between the two, but they were sitting next to each other courtside. Julius Randle, he was there as well. He's slim. You see a lot of people saying Julius Randle could potentially play the 3 with the amount of weight that he's lost. He's very slim, looks very fit. And, if his 3-point shot and his mid-range shot can go back to what we saw 2 years ago, maybe him at the 3 could be an option. But the whole front office contingency was out there for the most part, even including the owner Dolan. He was out there. Tibbs was out there.
So Tibbs
Leon
on TV.
Rose.
Yep.
Johnny Bryant. So there were a lot of people representing the Knicks at that game yesterday.
Cool. So, but I'm looking forward to any of the dish that you can share with us that we can't get off the TV that you see behind the scenes.
Well, not necessarily dish, but I almost started a little war between Bulls and the Knicks. I bumped into Patrick Williams' brother at the airport heading over to the game or heading over to our hotel, and he was going to his. And he mentioned that he was Patrick Williams' brother and that he was flying up from North Carolina. I guess they're from Charlotte or whatever the case may be. And he ended up, the only thing I remember Patrick Williams for is the fact that we ended up breaking his wrist. And I didn't necessarily have the filter in place hopping off the flight. And that's pretty much how I said it to him. I said, hey, I know Patrick Williams. We broke his wrist last year.
Oh, New York in the house.
And he just gave me the sternest face. Like, what? I was like, oh, yeah. And also, I kind of sweetened it up and said, yeah, there was some rumblings that the Bulls were kind of interested in Mitch as well. And he was like, yeah, I think that was true. But he was not too far of me bringing up the injury. But I
wonder why.
I hope he's fully recovered. Yeah. But he's out here. Patrick Williams himself is out here as well. He's doing one of those, practicing with the team, but not playing in the summer league games. There's a few players out here doing that. I know Cade Cunningham is one of them.
Yeah, for sure. But that's a funny story, man.
Yeah. Some good times out here so far. Want to give a shout out. We got a few more people in chat. Canal, he's saying salute, Keith. Salute. Also salute to Foxy.
How are you?
He said the genius. Thank you for pulling up. He's saying salute, family. Appreciate the support. And Miguel B says Randall's ability has never been the problem. And that's straight facts. I think Randall is a solid player. He's talented. We saw that 2 years ago. I think the main issue with him is just everything between the ears. So once he's able to get that right, I think he's applying himself this offseason. You can see that by the massive weight loss. So he's putting the work in, and let's just hope it manifests itself next season on the court. Because from what I saw here at Summer League, it looks like Julius Randle is here to stay. He was real cozy with the front office. He was sitting practically next to them. The only person in between them, ironically, was Obi. So it looks like he'll be here for the long haul, at least for next season. So with that being said, let's hope that he's going to turn the ship from the direction he was headed in last season and give us a better performance this year.
You said it beautifully. He's 20-10-5. It's just the other issues. But if you can get, how many guys can do 20-10-5 in this league every night? No matter what, 20-10-5. So that ball loves his hands, and if he can just clean up the turnovers and just some of the other things and the defensive lapses, nobody makes second team All NBA. Here's a little fact that I'm a little excited about that I'd love to share with you in the SV Nation. 2 years ago, during his second team All NBA, he led the league in assists to corner threes. And I'm saying that because who's an elite corner three shooter? Jaylen Brunson. Last year, he dropped down to number 11 in the league. So he was first 2 years ago, 11th last year in assists for corner threes. So, if you look at, he had the bad first year, then he came up with a great second year, so I'm hoping this is an up year. And with Jaylen there, with those corner threes and a few other things, maybe putting him in a spot, maybe we can see a renaissance of Julius back to the good Julius that, made second team All NBA. And if you think about it, 20 a game for Julius, 20 a game for RJ, 20 a game for Jaylen. 60 points right there. You throw in whatever, around 14, 15 for our three, and then our bench, I think we're going to have a surprising year.
Yeah, if Julius Randle can make a turnaround, this team can definitely make some noise. Julius Randle, we all want the ball to be, not I won't say out of his hands completely, but we don't want the entire offense to run through a Julius Randle. But at times, there are going to be moments where Julius Randle can take over. And that stat you mentioned with the corner three, we have somebody in Jalen Brunson that can be reliable when he's asked to knock down threes, especially in crunch moment and clutch moments. So that I'm definitely going to be looking and keeping my eye on. Just see what type of Julius Randle we see to start the season. I know he says it takes a little bit of time to kind of get started, but if we see a Julius Randle that's aggressive and also making the right decisions, I think you're going to see this team operated in the most potent form of itself.
Yeah, and like we've talked about, what I'm looking for with Brunson is that he gets the ball to Randle in his spot.
Mm-hmm.
The last couple of years we got the ball to Randle 20 feet from a spot, and then he had a dribble to get to his spot, and that's where the problems occur. We don't want that, and as Wally
20
said,
feet, he was bringing the ball up the court.
Yeah, you're right, man. And Wally said it best, Wally Serbiak, that anything over two dribbles, there's a problem around the corner. Here comes a turnover. So hopefully Jaylen and the rest of the guys and good coaching. I want to see more cutting this year and stuff like that. So
more off the ball movement. Yep.
All more off the ball movement. Exactly.
We got a few more people in chat. Adele Chapman, he's saying, "Let's go Hunt." Salute Foxy and Keys.
Hey, just real quick, Adele, just wanted to shout out. Adele had a beautiful little princess, Avery, a couple of weeks ago. So shout out to Avery Chapman. She has the greatest father the Lord's ever made, and the rest of his children. But I'm just hoping, Adele, you and the family are doing all well. And a special shout out to Avery.
Fact. Shout out to Adele and the newborn Avery. Let's see. Sincere the Genius says Hunt is hungry. Cam better step it up this year. Facts. That's definitely facts. We could jump into it right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Cam was front row and center to see Farron Hunt go out and ball yesterday. And the fact that you see the amount of energy that Farron Hunt brings to this team is something that I think is going to put the team at a disadvantage. Whoops, wrong slide.
I'm proud of our last broadcast that we were going over some roster, and we both said, hey, folks, a couple of drafts ago, Jaylen Green was, talked about as the most athletic guy in the draft. Who was also in that discussion? Farron Hunt. And we talked about his elite athleticism, that the shot's not there, but, he has this really disruptive a little over 7 foot wingspan. With that athleticism and that wingspan, he makes it very difficult for guys around the perimeter to get their shots off. So to have a defensive specialist on this team, we'll get into it in a second, folks. I don't think we're gonna, what we talk about is like we like to keep it real, and one of the things that I say to people after a performance like yesterday is that do you know who Josh Selby, Jonathan Simmons, Ray McCallum, Ian Clark have in common?
They all went off in Summer League?
Yeah, they were Summer League MVPs, never to be heard of again. Summer League, there's certain elements. So when we go over Grimes and, Deuce and Farron and a couple of secs, we want to keep it real that sometimes Summer League doesn't translate to the NBA and sometimes it does. And that's what we'll be touching on in a second. But his unbelievable athleticism and his length, and as a defensive specialist, you can't take that away from him. So I hope we build on that.
Yeah. Speaking of Farron Hunt, just to get into his stats, you can see the efficiency. He was 8 of 12 from the field. Didn't take any 3-point shots, but he was +9 for his time out there. And he scored 17 points, and you can see the big number. That's 7 steals. So. Oh, it's not on the screen? Whoopsie. I'm over here speaking, thinking it was on the screen. So now it's on screen. So now you guys can see the stats for Farron Hunt heading into today, what he did yesterday.
Yep.
Like I mentioned, he's got the 7 steals, 17 points. And I liked how active he was defensively. That's something that Tibbs is probably making notes of. And if you compare that to a Cam Reddish, Farron already is checking off that box when it comes to being active out there. And, Cam, we know, is great at intercepting passes and getting steals in his own right. But if Farron can continue to bring some of his sticky hands with him to the NBA and can continue to perform, not at exactly at this level, of course, this is Summer League, it's a step down in competition. But if he can go out there, provide that same type of energy, be a big wing, which is something that the Knicks don't really have too many of on this roster, I can find him getting some minutes if Tibbs isn't exactly thrilled with what Cam gives him to start the season. So I was very excited to see some of his plays out there. When that dunk, I believe what was it, the tomahawk in the third quarter? I was sitting right there, so I was there for the blow by and the slam. So that was something that really got a lot of Knicks fans out their seats, and especially at the game. I want to say it was probably 60% Warriors fans, 30% Knicks fans, and then the last 10% might have been just general fans of the NBA just there to watch the game. And you can definitely hear when there were moments like that in that second half where the Knicks fans were just going crazy and driving the Warriors fans out of the arena. So of course, I love moments like that.
Yeah, between him and Grimes, man, Kuminga just walked off the court, man. He was frustrated. 4 points after all that.
2 of 10, I believe.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
I could look right here. Yeah, the 2 of 10 exactly. I'm looking at here that. Moody was incredibly efficient and lit it up, but Kuminga, whoa, he had issues yesterday. So, and a lot of it has to do with Farron Hunt. A couple of things about Farron Hunt, folks. At SMU, Southern Methodist, his last year, he was 11. It was a tough. They had a lousy team he played on, so it was tough for him to really showcase. But he averaged 11 points per game, 8 rebounds, a little less than 1 assist, about a little over 1 steal, 1 block, and 1.8 turnovers. But the key thing about his career is his shooting split. And as always, we talk about the gold standard of 50, 40, 90. He shot 56 because it's like you just said. I don't think he took a jumper yesterday. Almost all of his baskets are usually in transition or cutting. He's a great cutter. So they're mostly dunks. So his shooting split his final season was 56, 20, 73. So the big thing is that 20% from 3. He's not 3 and D. He's just D at this time. So hopefully with our development, I know that he worked a lot over the last 2 years on his shooting mechanics because his shooting mechanics his last year at SMU were terrible. They've gotten better, but he shoots 73% from the foul line, which is more encouraging. But like you said, I'm looking for him to play the next several games at the Summer League, fighting for that 15th spot on this the Theo Pinson spot on this roster. But also, like you said, if there's issues where a 3 is going off and it's too much for RJ and Cam, nobody can stop him. Bring this kid in, see what you got.
Yeah, facts. Let's see what else we got going here in chat. I saw something that I wanted to get to. Somebody asked a question. Where was it? Here we go. From Still Dre. Says, what do you guys think about there being a Summer League champion, and what would it mean to the Knicks to win it all? I think it would mean a lot to the Knicks to win it all. I think at least for the group that's out there balling. I think before Summer League, Farron had already mentioned that he thinks the Knicks should be the favorites. He was talking about the roster on social media and saying that he feels pretty confident in their chances. But I mean, in the big picture, I think it would be a nice start to this season, but I don't think it would move too many ways. It would be something that we can all celebrate, but it depends and if we win the championship, you would assume that core that we have out there in Grimes, Deuce, Sims, and Farron Hunt are out there balling to help us carry us to a championship. So in that mindset, I would say that would be phenomenal for the Knicks, but it all depends on how the team plays for the remaining portion of the Summer League, because I'm perfectly fine if we don't win the championship, but those guys play well out there.
Yeah, like you said, I just want them to play well. I want them to develop, and winning is always a good thing. Always a good thing, whether preseason, Summer League, or whatever it is. Winning always feels better than losing, but I'm not going to lose sleep if they don't win a championship, and I'm not going to, go crazy if they do win a championship. I just think it's a good thing to build on going into camp, and that chemistry and everybody feeling good about each other.
I mean, after last season, I might go crazy for an hour or two if you do win that championship. Have a little fun, bust open a couple beers, enjoy my stay here. All right, let's see. We had another
Salute to Will. Hey,
Question.
Will. Hope all is
Yep.
well with you and your family.
Salute. Miguel P says, I believe we have 2 open roster spots right now. After what you saw, does Hunt get one of those? I think he definitely is in one of the front runners for those last 2 spots on this team. You look at the roster and you look at what some of the holes this team still has left. And, you mentioned it time and time again, Fox, it's going to be a big wing. We don't really have anybody in the same prototype of a 6'8", 6'9", wing or ball player that has the reach to kind of disrupt other wings out there in the league. And you wanted to say something, Foxy?
I was about to say, other than one other guy, Cam. We only have one other 6'8" dude with a 7-foot wingspan at the wing position. So, hi, Miguel. Hope all is well. Yeah. And also, this team needs a terrible infusion of athleticism. So that athleticism and he's absolutely explosive athlete. I mean, his first step, his cutting and stuff like that, if his handles improve. So I definitely see him. I see him actually, and we'll get into it in a few, but I think he has a better chance than Keels.
That's pretty interesting. Let's see. Well, yeah, because Keels didn't have a great show, and he showed a little bit of some playmaking, but I think he was.
But he's a 6'3" and change guy, and there's other guys on this team like that. There's nobody else like we just said. Yeah. A 6'8" with a 7-foot, that makes Farron. It's a differentiator for Farron versus Keels. Keels, like I said, he's not a point guard. He sees the floor okay, but doesn't shoot really great. He's a 67% foul shooter. He gets lit up on D because his lack of lateral quickness. So I definitely see Hunt having a better upside.
Yeah, I won't argue with you there. You talked me into your position.
You sure it's not that second beer?
Second beer. I haven't even gotten my coffee yet, man. It's like 11 o'clock over here.
Yeah, but it's Vegas. It's beer all day, all night.
Yeah, I hear you on that one. Unless you have to stream. All right. So let's talk about another guy on the team that went off yesterday, and it's Quentin Grimes. Now, Grimes, he had me a little bit nervous. I'm not going to front with you guys. I was kind of bad-mouthing him because I'm like, what is this guy doing out here? He came out, he played defense from start to finish. Not going to, bash him about that, but the shot selection and the fact that he was 1-9 to start the game kind of threw me off. I was like, man, Grimes, this is your opportunity to step up and show everybody on this team in the front office that you are a player that's deserving of a larger role heading into next season. And he kind of started off with a whimper offensively, but in that second half, he went off. He was able to, knock down a few threes. He was able to get a dunk in transition. I liked a lot of what I saw from his confidence. You start a game off that bad, and to be able to come back in that second half and act like it never happened, I think that's great to see. Because if you look at a guy like Quentin Grimes, if he's going to continue, getting better day in and day out, at the end of this season, he might be someone that Tibbs looks at on the bench to say, we need you to step in and knock down a big shot. So for Grimes to show that level of confidence and the fact that he's not going to let a bad first half kind of mess up his entire flow for the game, I think that's very important for us to see. And those are the type of things I'm looking at here in Summer League. How are these guys going to respond to adversity? And you got to give Quentin Grimes an A+ for the way he responded to that tough first half.
Absolutely. I got a little concerned, just being old school, that before the game and some of the press, he said he's looking to dominate. I was like, oh, that was a jinx. Don't do that to yourself. Quentin, don't do that to yourself. Just say, I'm going to go with that out there, play hard, and, go from there. But like you said, I'm glad how he came back. He started slow. He was inefficient shooting, 8 for 21. Finished with the 24 points, the 8 assists. But the thing that I'm most happy about, folks, was, did you see those passes, pocket passes, lobs? He saw the floor beautifully. And we always talked about, he originally went to Kansas as a point guard. So he saw the floor beautifully, 4 rebounds, 2 steals, 32 minutes, only 1 turnover. Love seeing him drive to the basket multiple times, going to his right, going to his left. In fact, finishing with his left. That just I thought his handle looked better. I'd like to see, he missed, I think, 1 midi that he took badly, but he took 1 midi. I want to see him take a couple more middies, and I'd like him to be, for him to be, reach his potential, he has to be a better foul shooter. He went 4 for 6 yesterday. Um,
Yeah,
four.
4 for 6.
Yeah, so I just want to see when you're a shooting guard in this league, you can't shoot in 60s. You gotta be a real good foul shooter. But his defense, like you said, is always on par. He's gritty as hell, came back tough, and you like that. You like somebody with a short memory that didn't go well. I thought he was rushing his shot. We've talked about last year, we're crazy about shooting mechanics. And the thing that we loved about it, even on his misses, he just looked fluid. It looked like it was the same release point always. And yesterday, it looked like he was rushing it a little, like he was pressing a little. So I'm looking for him to just chill out. He scored 24, even on an inefficient thing, but he scored the 24. Now, hopefully, he can just settle down, hit his threes. But like we said, we'd like to see him do a little more, see a little more out of his bag of tricks, put that ball on the floor, a little shot creation, and go from there.
Yeah, he definitely worked on his dribble. The only thing I feel like sometimes he's making moves out there on the court, but he's not really getting to his spots. Like sometimes that's something that he'll have to work on, especially if you want to see him run a little bit more point. Because I felt like to start the game, Grimes was the one that was kind of running point a little bit more so than Deuce, and then things kind of changed a little bit more as the game progressed. But if he is going to be someone that's going to be a playmaker out there for us, he's definitely going to have to tighten up that handle just a smidge. I know he's working on it, but I want to see him being able to attack defenders a little bit better off the dribble. So if that's one area I'm looking for him to get better at, I think that would be it for me.
I'm with you.
Let's see. Still Dre says, please insert Grimes at the 2. Definitely should be playing the 2. We went with a smaller lineup in this game. You saw a lot of times where it was Deuce, Grimes, and then Keels out there. So we'll see what happens as the summer league moves forward and what changes Dice decides to make with this rotation.
But past that, the thing that's been on my mind is that I know he's going to be great on D, and we know he's a really good 3-point shooter, and that the other elements we're hoping, and we think that they'll be coming there. I'm just wondering again, what it's a Tibbs thing, and it's a D Rose thing. What's going to happen? Who's going to be the starting 3? Is RJ going to play 2 or is he going to play 3? Is Fournier going to be on the second team or on the first team? Where's Cam going to play? People said, well, I think on the second team we're going to have D Rose and IQ. What about Grimes then?
Mm-hmm.
So if Cam is starting, so if you have Brunson starting, folks. So it's Brunson, RJ, Cam, or is it Brunson, Grimes, RJ? So there's so many different things that I'm thinking about. What's going to come out for our opening night? Where's Grimes? Where's IQ, D Rose? If they don't move IQ and D Rose, as we saw last year, Tibbs likes comfort zones. That's why we're glad Burks is not here and Taj is not here. But D Rose is still here, and it may impact multiple young players if D Rose stays healthy and gets burned. IQ, Miles, and Cam are going to be greatly impacted.
Yeah, ideally, for me, the perfect lineup would be, Cam at that 3. He's one of the only big wings. We've mentioned it time and time again. And then RJ, I think he can pick apart the smaller guards at the 2. So if he's there at the 2, you've got a perfect pairing of 2 guys that can, switch if needed, if that's the case, and also guys that have some pedigree defensively and have, I think, the tools to be pretty good defenders in the league. So I think that should be our 2 guys out there on the wing. Jalen Brunson, you mentioned he's going to be starting. You don't pay that guy that type of money and don't put him out there in the starting lineup. And then it just leaves you with what we're going to do at the 4 and the 5. You gave Mitch $60 million, so he's solidified as the starting center. And then
Hart.
and Hart coming off the bench. And then you've got Julius Randle, who's also in the first year of his new extension. He's going to be starting, and then you're going to have Obi backing him up.
Yeah, and also to your point, I love with a 6'1" Brunson having a 6'6" RJ right next to him in a backcourt.
Yep.
We want to have that big guy there to compensate for a 6'1" guy on switches and stuff like that.
Okay, facts. All right, David Piccolo, he gave us his starting 5. He says the starting 5 is going to be Brunson, Fournier, RJ, Randle, and Mitch. I don't think it will be Fournier. You need a better defender out there with a Jalen Brunson. And I don't think Fournier is it. We saw last season where we had two minus defenders out there on the court at the same time, and Fournier and Kimba, teams picked us apart, you know? So now if we have somebody that can kind of help some of Jalen Brunson's shortcomings, I think you look at this team, you look at this roster, and RJ kind of fits that mold much better than a Fournier. And in fact, I think Grimes might have a better opportunity to start instead of Evan Fournier because of that, because he's a better defender and because he can still knock down the three efficiently like you get from an Evan Fournier.
Exactly. And a shout out to Ian Begley. He touched on in a tweet a week or so ago that there's some within the Knicks organization that are concerned about having Fournier and Brunson on the floor together, like you just said, Keith. So I'm with you all the way there. And I think Fournier, we talked about, he's an elite 3-point shooter. He's the best corner three shooter in the league, folks. He's the best right elbow 3-point, right inside the 3-point in the league. But we all said, you know what? He can do that on the second team. He won't have to be defending elite starting wings in this league. Let him go against second team and let him eat on the second team as the three on the second team, because I'd like a second team of IQ, Grimes, Fournier, Obi, Ihart. And that's why the D Rose thing, I had him on the bench, but if Tibbs feels comfortable and has him starting, it's going to really impact the development of a couple of kids this year.
Yeah, I know we're paying him a decent amount of money, but at this point, I think Evan Fournier is best used coming off the bench as a sniper. And, we said it at the top of the show, we need some more off-ball movement. And you have a guy like Evan Fournier, he can kind of operate with that second unit and kind of go off. And then he'll have a veteran point guard in Derrick Rose manning that second unit. So there shouldn't be an issue of him being concerned as to whether or not he's going to get the ball in his spot. So I think you look at that second unit, it would have a nice mix of a D Rose, because I view Quick more so at the two backing up. And then, with Grimes and Fournier, they'd be the two eating at each other's minutes in that second unit. So if Fournier is out there with a Derrick Rose and he has that veteran point guard that can kind of find him in his spots when he's moving, off of screens, when he doesn't have the ball in his hand. So me personally, I think that might be the second unit we see from a Tibbs, where you have Rose as the backup one, you've got Quickly, and then it'll be a fight for minutes at that backup three.
And they've always played well together, and what we talked about with the shooting woes of IQ, I've always said the shooting woes really comes from him trying to be a point guard when he's when he's able to, just square up and shoot, he's magnificent. But if he's playing point guard, he gets his whole form thrown off. And his first year, D Rose would use his great, D Rose being a legend, penetrating, they converge, he kicks it out. He had beautiful open threes to knock down. Last year with D Rose not being there, he had to go through all these gyrations. So I see that. But if that does happen, that means there's going to be, a year or whatever of him not working on his point guard skills. It doesn't mean he's not going to be working on his playmaking skills, but it's different being an off-ball playmaker than being a lead playmaker.
Yeah, facts. But Foxy, you said something that was pretty interesting. You said there are some people in the front office that are a little bit concerned about a Brunson Evan Fournier pairing in the backcourt defensively. Well, what did they think when they brought in Kemba Walker and paired him with Evan Fournier? I know they don't think Kemba Walker was a better defender than Jalen Brunson, especially with dealing with an arthritic knee.
They brought him in because it was a marketing move. It wasn't a basketball move. They didn't get Lonzo. They didn't get Kyle Lowry. They didn't get anybody, so they knew what they were getting with Kemba. They were just hoping that they could gloss over initially, oh, wow, we got Kemba. Oh, my God, we got Kemba. And then the reality hit. So I don't know. I'm still confused how the Knicks doctor ever gave the okay to sign either Kemba or Nerlens Noel last year, no less sign him. So, but I'm glad that's in our rearview mirror and we can just go forward.
Yeah, we hit like a soft reset. We got rid of some of these vets and brought in some young players while still keeping the core of the team. All right, let's see. We've got some more starting five. Salute to Lex the Destroyer, one of the members of the Wrench Mob. He says, my five, JB, RJ, Cam, Obi, and Mitch. But y'all know Randall's going to start. Yeah. Randall, especially from what we saw yesterday at the game. Definitely looked like Randall's going to start.
Yeah. Hi, Lex. My biggest concern is not about Randall starting because he's going to start, but my biggest concern is we can't have Obi playing the 13 minutes again. So as Keith opened up the show saying that Julius is in brilliant, he's shredded, he's in great condition, so much so that he can maybe play the 3. You know, I was thinking this year, hey, I want Obi to get minutes. Maybe Obi can play the 3. You know, so different things. Obi playing 3, 4, 5, or let's see different combinations, especially the way the league's going. But we can't have Obi go another year of, you know, if he doesn't have 20 minutes a game, then we're doing a disservice to the team, to Obi, and to the fans.
We need some creativity with the rotations, creativity on offense. The only thing I can say that I really don't have too many issues with is the defense. You know, and I think last year our defense had issues just because of, you know, a chain is only as strong as its weakest link, and we had a couple weak links in that chain. So moving forward, defense I'm not worried about, but offense and the rotations, we need Tibbs to be a little bit more progressive with his offensive style and use some of the depth on this team when it comes to giving guys minutes night in and night out. We don't have to run these guys into the ground. If we do everything correct this season, this team can make a decent run into the first or the second round of the playoffs. We're not a championship team or anything of that nature, but if everything rolls right for this team, we can get that far. So stop trying to kill these guys night in and night out by playing 40 minutes to start the season, 40 minutes in the middle of the season, and 40 minutes at the end. Monitor their minutes. Let some of these other young guys that are hungry and want to get some playing time, let them play like an Obi. And in that way, when we're in the playoffs, we have guys that are much more rested, and we're not going to look like we did against the Hawks 2 years ago.
Yeah, not only the playoffs, but just closing during the regular season. That, you know, you can't play complete third quarters and then, you know, wonder why we keep losing the last 5 minutes of the game because guys have no legs. So, like you said, I hope distributes those minutes, you know, which will aid in keeping them fresh and also aid in the development of our young kids, keeping a lot of people happy. And like you said, one of the things from a progressive standpoint is him just widening that rotation from a tight 8-9 players to more like a Golden State that we just saw, 10, 12 players, depending on the team that we're going against.
And every player doesn't have to play every night. We still have some young guys.
It's about matchups.
Exactly. You know, play them based on the matchup. If there's a night where you think Deuce can come in and lock up a guard on the perimeter, put Deuce in. If there's a game where you think Grimes can come in and be a difference maker, we saw him be a pest against Trey last season. If you think that's something else that can work this season again, put him in those games. Or if you feel like this team needs a little bit more offense and you want to side with a veteran, then maybe in a game or two you side with an Evan Fournier. But to do Evan Fournier as if he's, you know, this great veteran that needs to be out there for the max amount of minutes, I think that's wrong. There's going to be certain situations where Evan Fournier will be ideal, and there will be other situations where you might find Grimes might fit that criteria a little bit better, or even a guy like Cam, because we put Cam at the 3, but Cam can also play the 3 and the 4. So based on matchups, we should see Cam go out there and play in different positions out there on the court. So I think this front office has done a decent enough job of forcing Tibbs into playing some of these young guys. It's now up to Tibbs to be a little bit creative with his coaching out there.
And rotations, absolutely. Hey, folks, just real quick, we have 114 people in the chat. We have 31 likes. Do us a solid. Please hit that like. Please hit that subscribe. If you have hit that subscribe, thank you so much. If you haven't, you know, if you have, please tell your friends. If you haven't, please do it. Hey, folks, we're 5.9 to a little like around 70 some odd to go to 6,000 subscribers. Please. We'd love your help in getting to that milestone of 6,000 subscribers. Please hit that little reminder bell so you don't miss out on any of the wonderful content from Sports Vibe TV. Please share the link on your favorite social media platforms. As always, shout out to the best mods on the planet. The one, the only John Talento has entered the building. Like you said, Lex the Destroyer. And I think those are the only two we have so far today. But and we'll get Canal back that wrench.
We do owe Canal a wrench, right? He did mention that.
He did mention I always got Canal's back, so we got to hook up my friend Canal. So, but thank you folks so much for getting us to this milestone. We're also a blink away from 1.2 million views. So again, both on the views, but especially on the subscribers, thank you thank you so much. We can't tell you how much we appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate the support. I'm not in Vegas if I don't have, you guys supporting the channel. So I definitely want to let you guys know I appreciate all the support, and we'll continue to come out here for Summer League. And hopefully as we continue to build the channel, maybe I might get some interviews and talk with some of the execs back here. Let's see if they'll let me in. I'm gonna knock on the door, kick it in if I have to.
All right, well, tell him John Talento. That opens doors for me.
Right? I hear you on that one. So let's talk about a little bit of point guard play, and that's our guy Deuce Mcbride. So I think Deuce was solid. I think he showed some of his best traits in the game against the Warrior, being a lockdown defender. He's shooting. He didn't have the best night in terms of his efficiency, but the defense and the playmaking were both there. He was 3 of 10 from the field, 3 of 8 from the 3-point line, 5 of 5 from the free throw line. He had 14 points, 7 assists, and one steal. So how did you feel about Deuce's performance yesterday?
I thought, like you said, he looked comfortable. I think he lost a little weight. I thought he looked comfortable. His handles looked better. But the one thing that hit me is that I didn't see him break down the defense and penetrate.
Yep.
And if he doesn't break down the defense and penetrate to the basket for a layup or a kick out, he won't be on this team next year, folks. That's whether Tibbs or anything else. Why do you think Jalen Brunson's here? He's elite at doing that. So if we don't have somebody that mimics those type of traits that Tibbs loves and what we just invested highly with, we love Miles, we love his defense, but if he doesn't have that handle and that ability to create separation and penetrate, he won't be on this team next year.
Yeah, he definitely needed a screen in order to get some separation. But once he got into the paint, I like some of his decision making. That's something I saw. There was a play. I don't know if it was the third or the fourth quarter, but he was operating on the left. I guess it was the left side of the court, trying to take his defender off the dribble. Was unable to, and he had to put up a contested mid-range shot that ended up breaking. So that was one of the instances where I was like, oh yeah, he definitely wasn't able to take his guy and get into the paint and get things started. But outside of that, you saw the defensive intensity. You saw the free throw shooting. He was able to knock down the free throw shots, and he did look a little bit smaller, but he still had that same physicality. He was up into whoever he was defending, and I kind of liked some of that from Deuce. If we can continue to see him get better at creating off the dribble, I think that it will elevate his ceiling as to where he can be as a point guard in the league. But as of right now, if he's going to continue to need a screen just to get everything started, get play started, you probably see him max out as a point guard off the bench.
Absolutely. He did a couple of things, like you said. I liked the way he saw the floor. He did a beautiful inbound lob to Sims for a dunk. Yeah. But the whole beauty about it, he used his eyes to just deceive him. He looked one way and threw the ball the other way. He's very comfortable with Sims, and we talked about this on past shows from their time and what you saw up in Bridgeport with Westchester. So they have a nice chemistry together, but he sees the floor nice. So it's just those other things. Like you said, a couple of threes look smooth, look beautiful and smooth. So I'm looking forward to him to ball out the rest of these games. But we got to see that there was one play where I saw him get back on defense, and he ran full speed. And to me, he looked a little faster, and actually his gait looked different. So I don't know if he's working, because I've talked about this before, that players sometimes work with track coaches, that they change their running, that they weren't their stride, their gait, their stride to maximize. So I said, wow, I wonder if he worked with a track guy. But I like Deuce. I love Deuce, and I love his D and everything. But this is, at that position and stuff, I don't see him as an off guard. So what are you smiling about? I see that's
nothing. We're just gonna power through. You were talking about chemistry. I think in the first play, it was a beautiful, nice little dribble handoff from Sims to Deuce, and then I think Deuce found Grimes to knock down a three, and that's how they started the game. So I
Yeah,
think
because
we
that
did
was a
see.
defended game, and I loved your tweet because you caught it.
Mhm.
That was a guy right on him when he knocked down that three, Grimes.
Yeah, you saw a lot of chemistry between those three, and you can tell that they've played a lot of basketball together, and they kind of know where they want to be, where or what spots they want to get the ball in. It was another three, I believe that it was in the third quarter. It was a quick play, just Deuce had the ball, got it to Grimes right in his little shooting pocket, and he was able to knock down a three from the right side of the court. So you saw certain things where you can see the rapport between those three, and that's because they played summer league with each other last season. And I'm pretty sure they're probably all well. Remember that last year they said that they used to have like the little rookie camps or rookie practices. So they've got a lot of time working with each other. So to see all three of them start to develop and grow as a group, I think it's something that we all should be monitoring moving forward.
I agree.
All right, let's see what else we got going on. We've got Geraldine in chat, First Lady of SV Family. Salute.
Lady G, my friend from the Bronx. Hope all is well with you and your family. Yeah, I see our friend Noah from Clutch Bowl, B-Ball TV. Hope all is well, Noah, with you and your family.
Salute, Clutch. I saw Clutch on Twitter coming at the NBA trade rumors tweet.
Yeah. Clutch did a great live last night watch along. So as always, Noah, man.
Salute to our guy Jesco. He's been talking to me on IG. Make sure you guys check out the channel IG at Sports Vibes TV. You guys can ask questions, get some any inquiries regarding the channel and updates. You guys can follow us over there, and you'll be notified that way.
I see my good friend, the legendary Bodega Wi-Fi.
Oh, Bodega Wi-Fi. Salute.
Yeah, he always has deep stuff.
I think they're talking about Obi being a potential All-Star.
Who's talking about Obi? It's very difficult to be an all-star with 13 minutes a game.
Yeah, right. He has to be given an opportunity, but it all depends on what this front office is going to do with Julius Randle. And based off what I saw yesterday, they were pretty buddy-buddy. It would kind of be pretty cutthroat to be as friendly as they were yesterday and then turn around in a month or two, trade him and ship him out of town.
You know, I'm with you.
Yeah, unless it was Kim, because like I said, Kim looked like he was in a hostage situation. He didn't look too thrilled.
You were just jealous you didn't have those blueprint shorts he had on yesterday.
Who?
Obi.
Cam? Obi. Oh, yeah. I'm about to say, I think Cam had on joggers and some. He had on joggers and some Concords. I don't remember what Obi was wearing.
Yeah, I saw the Jews got some grays starting to come in like Draymond.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, they did. Somebody did an interview asking him, about. Who has who would eat the most hot dogs on the team?
The team, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So I was watching, so it was nice for him to finally have an interview that was, kind
of humanize him, because
humanizing, wasn't mean spirited, wasn't basketball. It was just goofing with him, which was nice, and he was smiling, which was nice. But I saw you had them gray hairs coming up, and I was like, yo.
And that's proof. My man was stressed out last season. You see the grays popped out. Hopefully now he's got his mind right. He's got his health in order. You see him trimming down, getting in game shape, and hopefully he has another explosive season next year.
Yeah, and he's got to hang out with Walt, man, and get some of that stuff to cover up them grays, boy.
All right, let's see. Jesco says, my unpopular opinion, Deuce will never be a starter in the NBA. His offense is way too limited. I mean, it all is going to depend on how he's able to create for himself. I think that's where it starts. If he's able to start, breaking down the defense, getting into the paint and getting things started, you might see him be given an opportunity to start for, whether it be this team or another. But until he gets that into his repertoire, gets that into his toolbox, he's going to be limited as a point guard. And I think, it might be difficult for him to find a starting spot somewhere in this league.
Yep.
Agent Super Argo says, I need the Knicks and analysts to stop trying to trade Cam. He never got a fair chance here because of the stubbornness from Tibbs. No excuses this time. This is a fact. I feel like Cam has not been featured at all on this team, and even when he was out there, getting minutes, it kind of seemed like they were playing keep away from him with the ball, and then he would have to go crazy on his own and go a little pecan at times just to get his looks up or his shots up. So hopefully this season, I know we're not going to put Cam at the forefront of this team and the development of some of these younger guys, but Cam definitely should be a major, I guess, piece of this team moving forward, and we should be investing in him as such. So last year when we got him, I didn't see that. I didn't see the team moving in that regard. So this season, I need to see that from this team. Give him some minutes, give him some opportunity, call some plays for him so we can see what he can do. And if he fails, then you just you move on and you allow him to go somewhere else. But you can't allow him to leave the team without making a full evaluation as to what the player is.
Especially if you invested a first round pick,
yeah,
and trading an first round pick for him. But Agent Super Argo, as I ASA, if you watched the last stream with Keith and I had Cam in the starting lineup. Like Keith just said, hey man, you made an investment. Let's give the guy, he has all the prototype size, skills, either hand, give him a shot. And it's funny, I posted the roster, the thoughts, and you should have seen the feedback I got from France. I never realized how many Knicks fans are in France. Seriously. It was one after the other. And a lot of people like, Cam in the starting lineup, are you crazy? And I'm like, nah, I stand behind it. We got what we were saying and what we looked in this past draft, they came 6'8" guys. Why do you think I love Terry Eason? By the way, had a double and really balled out. His energy was off the mark. But I love 6'8" guys, and if you have them, you got to really nurture them. And I want us to do that with Cam. Give him his shot. He's in his 4th year, so no more babying. Throw him into the fire.
I low-key wanted him to play in Summer League. We saw Kevin Knox. He was a 4th-year player, and he decided that he was going to play in Summer League last season. Now, unfortunately, caught COVID, so he wasn't able to. But I would have been perfectly fine seeing Cam out there. I know he's recuperating from that shoulder injury, but based on what they told us when he had the injury, he was supposed to be healthy and it wasn't supposed to hold back any of his off-season workouts. So maybe that's just me being selfish and just trying to see Cam out there ball out. I would have loved to see him play in Summer League.
Yeah, I don't think from an ego perspective, he looks at him. What we talked about last week, that why we love RJ, because he works to be great, and the problem with Cam is he already thinks he's great. So I can't ever see him from a humble pie standpoint saying, I want to showcase in Summer League. Nah, he's above that in his head.
Yeah, that's why I got a lot of respect for Kevin Knox. He requested the trade in the offseason that was kept hush-hush. And he said, if I'm going to be able to if I want to put myself in the best position to be traded and get to a team that actually wants to invest and develop in me as a player, I'm going to have to go out there in Summer League and prove myself. And he was willing to do that, but unfortunately the COVID came and kind of stopped that in his tracks.
But you know what? He's a really great kid. Things, sometimes it doesn't happen. He's with Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey now. All he needs is he's a great catch and shoot shooter, man. So with those two guys on that team, man, I could see him, his career getting a little, waking up because all of a sudden he doesn't have to do anything other than shoot.
Yep. Yeah. Well, he's going to have to play some decent defense too.
Oh, that's another story.
Yeah. All right, let's see what else we got going on. John Talento says Mitch, Randall, Cam, RJ, JB sounds good to me. Facts.
Yep.
So before we wrap up the game one, let's talk about Sims. I don't think we talked much about Sims so far.
And I wanted to start with him. He hit me more than anyone last night, folks.
Well, you got to save the best for last, Foxy.
That's my guy.
Him a little bit, just a little bit.
Hello, man of experience. You could tell.
So how did you feel about Jericho Sims' performance? Because for me personally, I was kind of beefing with him as well. I had beef with Quentin, with Grimes initially because he was breaking threes left and right, and then I had a little beef with Sims too because if he had like a case of the Butterfingers to start, I'm like, man, Sims, grab the damn ball, but he ended up turning things around. He showed the energy he has out there moving around on defense. He's a much better screen setter than a Mitchell Robinson, so I got to give him another check there. And you just see the athleticism. It jumps off the TV, and even in person, it's just ridiculous because in that second half, when he was doing all those alley-oop dunks and
the rebounding.
The rebounding, well,
the ball loves his hand, man. Yeah.
In the second half, it did. The start, it didn't.
Well, it was funny because he tried to do a self-creation. The ball, he lucked out. The ball bounced right back into him.
He tried to create up the dribble for him. I liked it. It didn't work, but it didn't work initially. But in the end, it kind of worked out for us. He got the ball back, and he dunked. But yeah, they had him bringing the ball up after rebounds. That
Yeah,
was a
and he
nice
felt
little
comfortable
wrinkle.
too. He was moving, and there was one play where he was in the paint and he tried a turnaround jumper that didn't drop. But you know what? I like that. Try that. But like we said, 16 points, 7 for 8, 10 rebounds, 3 offensive rebounds, 2 blocks, altered a lot of shots that were reflected in the box score. So, like you said, I love his athleticism. I love his hops. You know, we're set at the 5, man. You know, Mitch 25 minutes a game, iHeart 18 minutes a game, and I hope they give Sim at least 5 minutes a game. I think you know, he's earned it, and with the rotations and stuff today, you know, if in 5 minutes I see him getting 3 rebounds, you know, that athleticism, he's going to be a very good rebound. He already is a very good rebounder, already a good screener. Another couple of years, folks. You know, 3 years, 6 million. You know, that's a good contract.
Yep, solid contract for what he's able to provide us out there on the court. And I love the energy he's able to, he's just constant movement. And I think what that does is it opens up a lot of driving lanes and also a lot of passing lanes, because now when you see Jericho Sims moving out there on the court, whether he's setting the screen and, you know, starting to, you know, roll to the basket, somebody has to account for him. And when the defense has to make some adjustments, it opens things up for the ball handler and for those guys that are moving off ball. So if we can take some of that we see from Jericho Sims and bring it over to Mitchell Robinson, I'm not saying Mitchell Robinson is not extremely active, but if he's able to show the same activity that we see from a Jericho Sims, this team is going to be extremely dangerous. And now we have a point guard in Jalen Brunson that can kind of make the most out of that activity out there on the court. And, you know, Mitchell Robinson was a little bit frustrated with him not getting the ball. And now, you know, we have a point guard. Maybe Mitchell Robinson will be a little bit more, well, not even a little bit more incentivized. We just gave the guy 60 mil. He should be more incentivized to be active out there on the court, knowing that he's going to have a point guard that'll find him. And, you know, with Jericho Sims, it gives us a nice blueprint. I think Jericho Sims is a young player that, you know, it's unfortunate that he's no longer on the 2-way, so we can't send him down to the G League in games where you don't expect him to play. But, you know, moving forward, I think he'll be a solid young piece. And if he isn't going to be a contributor on this team, I think with what we're seeing from Summer League, he could also be a trade piece to help make this team better. So, you know, you have to be realistic. You have to understand that all of these guys aren't going to be with the team for the entirety of their careers. So if Jericho Sims can either develop into a solid rotation piece or a piece in a deal that'll get us that star player that we've been dying for, I think that'll be a great result from somebody that we picked late in the second round.
I'm with you. And also what we saw last year, I'm glad Mitch is here. You know, RJ was the only one that found them last year. Now with RJ and Brunson, I think it is going to open them up. I just and also we saw with Mitch the reality that some teams lit him up. He wasn't, you know, covering the perimeter. That's where I'm happy. Where it's like, you know what, Sims has this great feet, great lateral quickness, great athleticism. If we're going against a stretch 5 like that, all right, let's bring in Jericho. We've got a lot more comfort with him, you know. And when they're not stretched, bring in Mitch, bring in iHeart. But I think depending on the matchup that you mentioned earlier, now we're really set at the 3, depending on what they're throwing at us.
Yeah, I think one thing I do have to mention, though, McClung hit Sims on a beautiful move in the paint, man. He had him frozen. But but outside of that, Jericho Sims was great as a rim protector. He was able to challenge Kuminga a couple times. Kuminga tried to murder him one play in the first half.
I know he
might
did.
have been in the second quarter, and I'm sitting here. I'm like, I'm not gonna record this.
He came in with. He came in with bad intentions on a jam.
Bad intentions.
And Jericho said
Sims,
no.
Yep. He was
solid.
You know,
I saw him last year get cracked in the face. I saw it on the replay, and he got cracked in his face. And all Jericho Sims did was like moved his eye. And this guy is, you know, not everyone is animated. He's a really, you know, he's not very animated, but he is a tough guy. You crack him, he doesn't even move, man.
Yeah. Also, he's not too animated, but he was doing some, I won't say coaching, but he was directing out there on defense. And you love to see that from your young center who's out there being vocal. So even though he's a little bit of an introvert, they say, he was still vocal out there communicating, and that's big on defense because you guys have to have the entire team moving up like they're all on one string.
Yeah, did you notice that yesterday? I was really happy, whether it was Grimes, whether it was McBride, even Keels. They were talking on D. They were pointing,
Yep.
you take him on this assignment and stuff like that. So I love communication like that.
And that's one thing you got to give credit to Tibbs. If you're playing for a team that's coached by Tibbs, that's something that is something that's like a non-negotiable. You have to be vocal. You have to be a solid defender. Or Tibbs, well, I can't say you have to because we got Fournier on the team, but if you're one of these young guys, you have to check all those boxes for Tibbs to put you in an opportunity where he can allow you to build his trust. So you see all of the young guys, they understand what they have to do in order to crack the rotation. And I think Summer League is a great place for them to kind of put it all together and put it on tape. So heading into training camp, maybe Tibbs gives them a little bit more opportunity to start.
With you.
All right, let's see what else we got going on. Jay Dragon says Sims was a pretty smart cookie with a very high GPA while in college.
And also 4 years, which is nice. I like kids coming out as seniors. They're better basketball players and they're better people if they take their education serious.
Yeah, they're more developed heading into the league,
and they're more mature.
Especially when you're getting a whole bunch of money that you've never seen before, you can lead you down the wrong path. So a guy that's been spent 4 years, he kind of has a better understanding of himself and who he is as a person, isn't going to come into a situation like the NBA where he can kind of be strayed the wrong way.
I laughed when I saw that he signed 3 years for $6 million. I said, you know what you call $6 million? Dame Lillard Saturday night. That's his Saturday night party, and this dude is 3 years for $6 million. Oh, I've seen some bad contracts in the last few weeks, folks. For the life of me, I have no idea how Minnesota made that trade for Gobert.
Yeah, that was wild.
That is like the worst. It left me numb. Like, you should, if I was the commissioner of the NBA, I'd call in Minnesota and saying you have to sell this franchise. You can't do stuff like that because forget about the contract. Who would sign today in today's NBA? Gobert with his game for $40 million a year. I wouldn't sign him for $20 million a year, no less. Yeah. So you see, and then to extend Dame 2 years for $60 million a year, over $60 million a year. It's like, that's lunacy, man. It's absolute lunacy.
Yeah, those are big contracts. Well, if you were a Knicks fan and you were hoping that Dame Lillard would be coming to this team, it's quiet for that. He's going to be in purgatory for the remaining portion of his NBA career.
Yeah. Yeah.
Him and Bill, they pretty much signed identical deals for the most part. For very similar franchises, if you look at them. All right. And yeah, the Gobert deal, that was wild. I mean, I understand how you can try to make it work offensively, seeing that Cat can, slide over to the 4 pretty easily. He can still be a stretch big for you, knock down shots, and he can create off the dribble against other 4s in this league. But defensively, I don't know how good Cat is going to be defending other 4s. And then we already know Gobert can be, he's a great defender when it comes to, rotating over, helping out, etc. And even, defending, back down bigs or whatever the case may be. But he's shown that he can be taken advantage of when you try to get him out there on the perimeter and guard some of the smaller guys. So it'll be interesting just to see what they try to do to kind of scheme some of that and try to keep him covered. But you're paying him that type of money. You're paying Cat, who they extended, crazy money. And then, you got Anthony Edwards going to be.
Yeah, you have D'Lo's contract.
You can probably move off of D'Lo if you needed to. But like
Edwards,
you said, got to pay.
Yeah, not only that, but I think they're counting on him, I think, to go to the next level. I think the whole Gobert chair, it is like, if Edwards becomes the star, we need that guy. But even so, it was a terrible. It was front office malpractice, as Ron Cleveland liked to say.
Yeah, and they gave up a ton of picks and a lot of their depth.
Unprotected too.
Right? That's crazy. What you call it? Weirded official says Sims looks like Megatron. Is that Sims with 2 M's or 1? Because we got both.
Yeah, it was 1 M.
2 M's made an appearance as well. He had a fast break dunk, I believe.
But even his fast break, it looks slow.
It's
like I like him for Clemson and stuff, but that dude looks so slow.
2 M's and the second M is for molasses.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
I like that. And for molasses.
Let's see what we got over here. I'm Toast, salute, former co-worker. He says the paint's gonna be clogged over there, Mini. I believe he's talking about Mini.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Cat is always out at the perimeter, actually.
Yeah, he can stretch a little bit. Not a little bit. He's one of the best big man 3-point shooters.
Yeah, and won the 3-point contest this past year.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Joseph Chavez says, I honestly wish we went all in on Ivy. Could have saved money, giving up some assets. Brunson, I like him, but Ivy at a young age looks like he will be a young D Wade.
Joseph, I'm sorry, you take it.
No, I was just gonna say I didn't get a chance to see Ivy because I was traveling when he was playing, so I'm gonna have to watch the replay.
Well, I watched him, and I was gonna say, Joseph, the only thing I'd change is we should have went all in on Mathurin. Did you see Mathurin yesterday? Oh my God. I think he's going to win Rookie of the Year. He is unbelievable. 3 points, dunks, he had one turnover was the only thing, but it was like just a magnificent performance. That's the guy we should have went in. Ivy did exactly what we said he was going to do. He scored 20 points and everything, but he was out of control a whole lot. It's going to be a learning curve for him, but Mathurin looked unbelievable.
Let's see. We got a pretty strong Cam debate going on in the chat. Everybody, people on 2 different corners. Some people think Cam should start and should be a piece of this team, and other people think Cam should be traded. So let's see. We'll put something in chat. Just to see what people think.
So while you were doing that again, folks, let me just do a quick shout out to my friends and everyone in the SV Nation. Like I said, we have 175 people in the chat. We have only 75 likes. Please do us a solid. We always like to get over that 100 metric. So please hit that like. If you have subscribed, thank you so much. Please tell your friends. If you haven't, please hit that subscribe. We work awful hard, and especially my friend Keith, in bringing you the latest Knick news and analysis and rumors. Do me a favor, turn on that all reminder bell so you don't miss out on any of the wonderful content, and please share the link on your favorite social media platforms. And as always, shout out to the best mods on the planet, the John Talentos, the Lex the Destroyers. I haven't seen my boy Justin L for a while. Hopefully everything's well. I know his wife was expecting too.
Way, yeah.
Absolutely. So Justin, if you're listening, we love you and we're thinking about you. But just wanted everybody so please, like I said, we're a blink away from 6,000 subscribers. Help us get to that milestone. We really, really appreciate it.
Thank you for that, Foxy. So I put a poll in the chat. It says, what should the Knicks do with Cam? Start him at the 3, play him with the second unit, or trade him? So let's see what everybody decides. Because I think Cam is a interesting, talented player. And I feel like we need to exhaust all options to see if he can be a feasible option for us at the 3 before we do something drastic and trade him for somebody, especially when you see what we invested. It was a first-round pick, and it was a Kevin Knox, who, yes, Kevin Knox has been a failed pick, but there's still some value, I think, in him as a player, and you can see that with him signing the contract over there with the Pistons. Even though it was nothing crazy, but it's still some value.
Yeah, but it'd be a crime to make this investment and never give him an opportunity to really do it. Hopefully he can stay healthy, but that's why I'm saying he has RJ, his buddy from Duke. Let him get in there, let him start, let him, take all that away, let him have that motivation. We believe in you. You're the starter. We're just going to ask you to play defense and play defense and play defense and just play within a thing. And Jaylen will put you in your spots, but you don't have Trey anymore stealing all your shots. You'll get your shots, but Cam, for you to go to the next level, it starts with you using that 7-foot+ wingspan on defense.
And we don't have another player that has more raw talent at that position than Cam.
I don't think in the league, meaning, you know what? I was going to bring this up about Brunson, but I always look for body language and things for players. And if you watch after games, Cam, the players will go around, hey, good game. They stop with Cam. They hug him because whether Anthony Edwards, if you watch on YouTube, folks, and stuff like that, they said, who's the Cam? They have such respect, reverence for Cam, the players. So that's why I'm hoping if the players say, hey, man, all you analysts and stuff, I play against this guy. This guy is crazy. I think Edwards said he dropped 60 on him when he was young. But but those are the things that that we talk about. But with Brunson, Keith and I were talking about a couple of guys dropped things, whether it was his buddy from Mikal Bridges and a few others talking about that, hey man, you don't realize how cold this dude is, meaning Jaylen, that you got the Knicks got. So I'm using that same mentality of them saying, wow, this, he's fantastic. The same thing is like, no man, we love Cam. We think Cam is special. So if the players think Cam is special, let's give him an opportunity. Hail Mary full of grace that he doesn't get injured, that he could have an injury-free season, let him have some run. And if it doesn't work out, at least we gave him a chance.
At least we can, not have any regrets saying we moved on from somebody that can be a potentially, top 5, top 10 small forward in this league if given the opportunity to grow.
Yeah, and we just saw in the playoffs, folks, Andrew Wiggins. X amount of years ago in Minnesota, people were like, yeah, he's okay. Now you're like, did you see him shut down Tatum? Oh my God, man, Wiggs is crazy.
So looking at it right now, we've got play him with the second unit leading at 53%. I'll leave it open a little bit longer. You guys can continue to participate in the poll, see what the Knicks should do with Cam next season. We've got Jarvis LaFleur. He's saying salute. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate the support.
Hey, Jarvis, hope all you're feeling better. Hope all is well with you and your family.
Thanks. JW says if Fournier is traded, then Cam is definitely starting.
Yeah, but it's weird, JW, because Cam's not a good shooter. He has all this length and everything, but if you look at his shooting percentage his whole career, he's just an okay shooter. Just an okay shooter at best. Fournier is an elite shooter. So that's the whole thing. We just got rid of Burks. You get rid of Fournier. Who's the shooter on this team? Grimes. But he's only a 3-point shooter. He has no mid-range game, or he hasn't displayed one in his young career yet. So we can't be so quick to get one. Yeah. Who?
Quick.
Yeah, but again, but not elite level. He shot in the 39% the last 2 years field goal percentage and didn't hit anywhere near 40 this past year on 3-point shooting. So So right now, one of our best shooters actually is Brunson, who we brought along, especially from mid-range.
What you call it? Rich Boy says Tibbs never said he don't like Cam. That is fake news. I mean, it's factual that he never said he doesn't like Cam, but if you look at some of the things he's said about Cam and you compare it to some of the way he talks about other players, it doesn't really seem like he's too fond of him, to say the least. You've seen him talk about, like, they've asked him questions about a Cam, and when we traded for him, you saw Tibbs say, there were some things out there and I wasn't too happy about. I didn't have, reach out to him. He had a phone call behind the scenes just to get a little bit more information from him. And then when Cam is on this team, you don't see Tibbs do anything to try to get him any minutes out there on the court. So we can just look at the information that's provided to us, and if we have to come up with some sort of answer as to how Tibbs feels about Cam, to us, it doesn't really seem like it's trending in the right direction. So I can't say for certain that Tibbs doesn't like Cam, but it really doesn't seem like he's too fond of him.
Hi, Rich Boy. Hope all is well. Like he said, forget about the words. It's about actions. He didn't play him. He came over and they made this. He didn't show any effort to really get him in there. So I think it's the actions. And like we said, he's, like you said, you saw him, he's just hanging out, man. He's real cool. There's no animation in Cam, and you want somebody who's, Tibbs loves defense, and usually defensive guys have a little more bravado about them.
And the New York Sports Guy, he says, just to add to what you mentioned, he said, too many NBA players have vouched for Cam for us to use the fact Hawks traded him to devalue him. And that's a fact. Maybe the Hawks didn't know what they had. Maybe they didn't put him in the best position to succeed. I mean, the Hawks have had a bunch of wings come through that organization, and they're still trying to figure it out.
And they just got rid of Herter.
Yeah, they just got rid of Herter.
So they got rid of in the last. So they have a guy who I absolutely adore in Hunter, but he's never been able to really stay healthy.
Mm-hmm.
But after Hunter, man, Herder and Cam was third on the list. And when you're third on the list and with a point guard like Trey, it's easy to get depressed because, like, I ain't getting any touches. This guy is a chucker.
I mean, that's kind of why they say Collins wants out of there, right? He doesn't really vibe too well with Trae Young.
I don't know how anybody could really vibe really well with Trae Young.
I like his game.
I'm not saying he has a great game, but it may not be conducive to other players feeling they're part of the game because he's just so ball heavy. Yeah.
Yeah, and the sports guy agrees with you. Says players don't like playing next to Trey. All right, so Foxy, we'll wrap it up here.
Hey, just real quick on that last one. Any thoughts? Your personal thoughts on DeJounte playing next to Trey? Is that going to be magical now?
It'll be interesting because it'll allow Trey to kind of play like a Steph off ball. So you have a guy like DeJounte Murray that can create for himself and others, and you have another strong defender next to a Trae Young. So you've got DeAndre Hunter at the 3, who's a strong defender. You've got DeJounte Murray, who's a big guard, also a strong defender. I think that'll be ideal in helping protect Trae Young when he's out there getting attacked. And then you also have Clint Capella as that rim protector. So I think defensively, it's going to be pretty solid for that team. And that's if Clint Capella stays, because we mentioned John Collins. It doesn't seem like he's in their long-term plan. So he might be moved with a guy like Clint Capella to bring in another player. So if they stay as is, I think defensively they are going to be a difficult team to deal with. And offensively, like I mentioned, Trey will slide into that
Steph position,
Steph Curry role where he can work off ball, and you have a legitimate point guard or a second legitimate lead guard and a DeJounte Murray that can find him. But I think you mentioned it before, Foxy, the shooting of DeJounte Murray might be the only thing that'll kind of cause some hiccups for that,
especially from 3
offensively.
Yeah,
and we're dealing with the spacing.
Cool.
All right. So anything else you want to say before we wrap it up?
No, just thank you, everybody, to the SV Nation. I'm still mad at Keith that he's hanging out in this suite in Las Vegas, hobnobbing with all the...
I won't be in the suite for long. As soon as we sign off, I'm out.
So, I'm hoping, I'm glad you're having a good time out there. And we play tomorrow against Chicago. We were playing against one of my favorite young kids in the draft, Dalen Terry, out of Arizona. So we'll see how he does, but go Knicks, go. And we're looking forward to our next podcast to talk to the family.
Facts. You got to teach me some poker, Foxy, so next time I come out here, I can make some money.
I don't play any. I don't gamble at all.
You're like me then.
Stock market's enough of a gamble for me. I don't need to do anything.
That's a fact. Especially with the way the Fed is moving.
Or not moving. Yeah.
I hear you. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. Bricks Nation. He says, great show, guys. Fam, hit the like before leaving. Thank you. Appreciate you. Definitely hit the like button before you guys exit the stream. I'm also going to upload some of the videos I shot from, behind the scenes in Summer League, quote unquote. I hope you guys tune into that and appreciate it. So once again, I'm Keith, host of Sports Vibes TV. I'm joined as always by my co-host, Stephen Fox, our NBA analyst here on the channel. Thank you guys for everything.